Welcome to another episode of the EventBuzz podcast. I'm Savannah, your host, and today, like every episode, we have another amazing guest and industry expert joining us. Executive Director Brad Veach is with me today to talk about festival management and what it's like to plan a multi-day event. With their annual festival just around the corner, the Shenandoah Apple Blossom Festival, they've been preparing for not just one, not three, but over 20 different events spanning across 10 days. The annual festival is the largest community event in Winchester, Virginia, with over 250,000 attendees each year. This event is so big that during the spring, in preparation, the people of Winchester hold an annual cleanup, followed by decorating the city in green, pink, and white festival colors in order to make the community more presentable for its anticipated guests. I'm excited to hear more about the behind the scenes of such a large event and hopefully some suggestions and advice for other promoters out there in the festival industry. Hi, Brad. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited to talk to you and hear more about this amazing festival you guys have coming up. So why don't we just dive right in? And before we get going, introduce the listeners more about your guys' festival, what it is, and let's include like a little introduction of who you are so they know who's talking.
Sure. My name is Brad Veach, excuse me, and I'm the executive director for the Shenandoah Apple Blossom Festival, which is located in Winchester, Virginia. The festival has been around since 1924. This year, 2021, will be our 94th festival. And there's only been a handful of times that the festival hasn't taken place, one being last year during COVID. But then the last time before that was way back during the World War. So, we have had a very long, rich history of hosting events showcasing our Apple industry is really how we started back in 1924. And it was a collaboration up and down the Shenandoah Valley here in Virginia. And Winchester was lucky enough to kind of be the location that everybody said they wanted it to be hosted. So that's kind of how the festival started. And, over the years, we've expanded it to over 40 events. And it includes 2 parades on a Friday and a Saturday night. We have like the nation's largest firefighters parade, and we have firefighters and antique fire trucks that come from all over to participate. And then we have a Grand Future Parade on Saturday, which is kind of our showcase. And we've had high school bands come from all over the country to participate in our Grand Future Parade. So we've got a very rich history. We are a very long-standing festival, and certainly COVID has presented many challenges to planning the festival, but we're working our way through it, and we're looking forward to celebrating our 94th this year.
That's so exciting. And I was just about to ask too, how many events you guys have, because I think online it says like over 20, but I'm like, I think they have at least 40 going, which is crazy.
Yeah, well, we actually cut our events in half this year. There are certain things like parades and things like that we just can't have due to the governor's orders with restrictions on the number of people that can gather. So, we basically cut almost 50% of our events this year. And we've been working very closely with our health department to make sure that we are, in compliance and that we're doing everything that they feel that we can do to provide, some safe activities.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still impressive to me that you guys are doing 20 events. That's a lot over 10 days. Like that's so fun, but it's a lot. And it kind of goes into my next question. What is it like planning such a large festival? For people listening, like what does it take essentially to run this type of annual event? I know that's a lot.
It is. It's a whole lot. I actually took this position back in November of 2019. Our former executive director had been with the festival for over 20 years. And, as the new person coming in, I was super excited about, the opportunity, but also the potential to kind of take the festival, to the next level. And then COVID hit. So, as the executive director, I have not actually been in this role in a full festival. So, it's a bit unique in that all of a sudden I've been thrown into the mix and almost had to rethink everything that the festival has done because of COVID. So, even if I would have had some years of experience under my belt, I don't know that it would have necessarily mattered in this situation. But yeah, it's quite the undertaking. We have, just a plethora of volunteers that just, spend a lot of time, dedicate a lot of their talents to the festival. And it's a year-round kind of planning operation. I'm a full-time employee, so it's not like I'm only working, a couple of months out of the year. We maintain an office that's open 12 months out of the year, and we rely on hundreds and hundreds of volunteers to make these events happen. Anything from dance parties, from things like that, to the parades, to bringing the carnival into town and getting all the logistics set up for that. And of course, we work very closely with our local emergency management folks from our city and county, because they are essential when it comes to providing a safe environment for folks to be able to come and enjoy. I mean, we shut down a number of city streets, basically Friday and Saturday of the festival week, just for the parades, and thousands upon thousands, people line the streets and, enjoy the festivities. So, and people have house parties, and I mean, it's just, it is an opportunity to showcase our community. And, it's funny because the folks along the parade route, weeks ahead of time, you'll see the landscaping crews, coming in and putting down fresh mulch and trimming bushes and, adding a coat of paint to their house. I mean, people really take it seriously. And it's really an opportunity to showcase our community, and our community pride has a lot to do with the festival. So it's just it's a fun thing, in our little slice of Americana. Yeah. Where we're outside. We're about an hour outside of Washington D.C., and folks come from the city out to enjoy the festival, and it's a bit of a slower pace, but it's definitely an opportunity for us to showcase our community and provide that warm invite to folks who come in from out of town.
Yeah, I love that. And with COVID, since you said you rely on volunteers so much, has like management for them had to change at all, or have you guys had to do something a little different when it comes to working with your volunteers?
It has. There are some volunteers who just don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
We're in what the governor's calling a phase 3, which basically allows up to 1,000 people outdoors. So we have moved almost all of our events from indoor venues to tents, which is how we used to do it. And we've, had some of our volunteers who said, I'm going to set this one out this year. I just don't feel comfortable. And we get it. We're not going to force any of our volunteers to come out and do something that they don't feel comfortable doing. And we certainly don't, want our participants to feel uncomfortable with coming out and doing things. So, we're offering these events. We've certainly lowered the number of tickets that we're selling to certain events, knowing that the governor has set a limit of 1,000 people. And that's one of the reasons why we can't do parades, because we're talking about, 200 to 250,000 people that line the streets in Winchester. So, that in itself has become a bit of a challenge. But, because the festival is smaller this year, we also know that we don't need as many folks to volunteer their time. So it is a bit of a challenge with the volunteers, and some events, we're in great shape. But other events, like for maybe some of the older folks in our community, it's been a little more challenging just because of them being, kind of a higher risk.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So you said you guys have kind of moved what you can outdoors, doing tents, limited ticketing. Is there anything else like on the event day, like are there other protocols you have thought or need to follow in order for the event to run safe as possible?
Yeah, we actually are still working through that. We've been working very closely with our local health district to ensure that we're kind of in compliance and doing everything we can, and even beyond, to make sure that folks are safe. We do expect, and we put this out on all of our Purplepass tickets and all of our advertising, that folks are responsible and are required to follow all CDC recommendations and state mandates if they buy a ticket and participate in our events, which basically means that we'll be doing temperature checks when folks come in. We are expecting folks to wear masks. Many of our events include food. So, we've got the situation where folks are sitting down at tables and chairs and, removing their masks for a meal. A lot of through Purplepass, which has been great for us. This is our first year using Purplepass. And we basically have done a lot of our ticketed meal events with I'll say assigned seating, where folks can pick their seats. And so a lot of folks will say, all right, my 4 friends from the office, we're all going to go to our business luncheon. And so they sit together, at the table. And so they feel a lot more comfortable with our dance parties and things like that, where it's more general admission. Most folks don't sit down anyway. They're going to be out dancing. But, we basically have set up the tents and the tables and chairs. They're 60-inch round tables, and normally you can fit like 8 or 10 people around there. We're only doing 4 chairs per table. Again, trying to spread people out. So folks are required to wear their masks. We are going to have, additional hand sanitizing stations, hand washing stations. Many of our events, because of our limited number of participants, we actually are doing in smaller blocks of time. So, for example, our wine festival, it used to be that you buy a ticket and you can come all day. You spend the whole day there. This year, and through Purplepass, and made it super easy, we actually did blocks of time. We did 4-hour blocks. So, you pick the 12 to 4 o'clock time slot. And, you've got your 4 hours to come in and do your wine tastings. And then we clear people out. We have an hour break where we sanitize and clean and remove trash and do all that. And then we'll do another 4-hour block. And that has worked perfectly through Purplepass, in that folks go on, they go up to the ticket page, they select which day, which time they want. They order their tickets, and of course their date and time stamp is on the ticket. So, they know what time they're supposed to be there. And we've done that with some of our other events as well. Like we're doing a midway, which is like games and carnival food and things like that. And we're kind of keeping track of how many people are coming in. We are setting our limit, even though we can have 1,000 people. That also includes our volunteers and our food vendors and anyone else. So most of our tickets are actually set at 900 max. So Purplepass, just to put a shout out to you all. I'm not sure how we would have done it in our old system. It was all paper ticketing. You come into the office, you buy your tickets, and then you show up to the event. We were spending a ton of money on just the cost of printing tickets. And to be honest with you, since we transitioned, and this was a concern by our board, was that, will people do an online ticket? We've probably had maybe 24 people out of all the tickets that we've sold, and we've sold thousands of tickets already, we've maybe had 24 people that actually came in, didn't feel comfortable, doing the online ticket part of it. And so we just, we took their money here and we printed out the ticket, and they were happy. They walked away and they had the ticket and they were ready to go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm, obviously we didn't transition to Purplepass with the anticipation of COVID hitting, but I'm so glad that we did, because it's definitely made life a lot easier for us from a ticket management standpoint.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you can save money on all the printed costs, because people don't realize, it's a lot of tickets, especially for how big you guys are, and that it's working so well for you guys. It's crazy. Yeah. We've definitely, the digital ticketing has definitely been pushed like 10 plus years into the future, because now everyone's kind of forced to be online and kind of minimize those interactions and purchase it in advance. And it makes it easier.
Well, and, I mean, to be honest with you, we've had our challenges with transitioning in Purplepass, in that, we have traditional ways of doing certain things. But, we found that almost, I don't know if it's 100%, but it's pretty daggone close. 100% of the issues, say it's 95% of the issues is probably a good number, that we've kind of identified as, how do we do this? We can't figure this out. This is part, this conflicts with, some of our internal processes. We found, that your all's folks have been super helpful in helping us to think outside the box even more. And, there's been a couple of things that, because we are unique and we are so big, that, we've got a couple of hiccups, but I mean, nothing really that's like a deal breaker. I mean, it's been a pretty tremendous experience for us with your all support. I mean, whether it was setting up all the individual seats with 4 chairs per table, you guys were there to help us, walk us through all of that. So kudos to you all for the great service. So
thank
you
you.
a good little plug on that.
Oh yeah, thank you. Our team, they are amazing, and honestly, they've seen it all. So that's why they are so creative, like you said, and with adjusting and making it work, because they've just seen everything under the sun with events. And every event is so unique. So it's not like we can just put them in a box and be like, this works for you. It's going to work for everyone.
Yeah,
and I think we get that.
Yeah, we've been very impressed with the flexibility. So
Awesome.
That's been good.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Okay. And let's put aside COVID for a second. And if we pretend like we're talking about just a regular festival, I wanted to ask you this, because we have a lot of event professionals that listen to our podcast and kind of get ideas from it. So since I'm talking to you, I just want, for those interested in hosting their own like mega festivals or multi-day events, are there some key takeaways that you've learned from this whole planning process, planning this big festival, that you could maybe give them advice on?
I think you're never able to do it alone. You've got to surround yourself with a team of people who have different talents. You don't want to surround yourself with the same type of person. Especially during COVID, when you've got to identify and be able to think outside the box to make things happen. But having a good, strong team, that is committed to communication, and keeping everybody in the loop. No surprises. I think that's like probably one of the most important things. Those folks who are executive directors or event chairs or whatever your title may be. Don't think that you got to do it all. If you've got good people surrounding you, they want to help you. And that's been a bit of a challenge for me, because I'm new and I'm trying to be as involved with every step of the process because I want to learn. But, some of them are like, Brad, just back off. We got this. And I'm like, all right, I'm not trying to micromanage you. I just, I want to know if something goes wrong, I want to at least have a good understanding of, what happened and why did we run into this snag? So, to me, it's definitely about, compiling that strong team of diverse people, folks who think differently and engage with them and collaborate. I like to throw out ideas, and sometimes I'll throw out a stupid idea just to see what their reaction is. But what it does is it makes them start to think, well, no, we can't do it that way, but we could do it this way. So, it's always interesting to, to have those collaboration brainstorming times with your team. And, a lot of times that I feel like that helps empower them because sometimes you're using some of their ideas and it just creates that buy-in even more in their commitment to success. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I feel from a large festival standpoint. You can't do it alone. You got to have good people around you, and getting those folks to commit to whatever that end goal is. So that's probably my biggest piece of advice to everybody who's listening.
Yeah, especially if there's so many moving parts, you definitely need a team and solid communication. So figure out how you guys all work together so that, it could really, you don't have any gaps or cracks in the process. But
yeah, the other thing too is, and because we're so big and we have so many volunteers and we are a nonprofit, and, it's hard. And this is one of the questions that came up in my interview was, how do you reward and how do you motivate your volunteers? And, that's in a smaller organization, it might be a little bit easier. You could have, a party, or you can recognize them with, some type of piece of swag or something like that. But, in our organization, I mean, we break the budget, if we had to buy, 1,000 polo shirts or feed, 1,000 people if we didn't have a sponsor or whatever. And, we try to keep our pricing affordable to our ticket holders and participants. And, find creative ways. That's another thing. It's just to find creative ways, to recognize your volunteers, because for us, they're the lifeblood of the festival. The festival would not happen without them. It's easy to, just to kind of pass by. But I mean, these folks are dedicating and committing and volunteering their time, to help you succeed, to reach your goal. And finding that unique and special way to recognize those folks is sometimes hard, but I think it's essential.
Yeah. What ways do you what do you guys do for recognizing your volunteers?
Well, we do some simple things. We have a ribbon, and this is something very traditional, but it is something that the folks are very proud of. We do throughout Festival Week, all of our event chairs and volunteers will have different color ribbons. And so it recognizes, kind of what their position is in the festival, and make folks that are kind of at the lower level are aspiring to, move up and get that the different colored, ribbon. We also we also have things as simple as lanyards with with their name and their event. So, and there's different colors for that. And so people, are aspiring to become event chairs, or they're a volunteer, or they're, part of an event, it kind of gives them special recognition that they, they're part of the festival. And folks that walk around, people may ask, hey, I've got a question, because they think, oh, you've got a lanyard with your name on it. You're important. Mm-hmm. Even simple things like that. We have done a post-festival gathering in the past with our volunteers. that it hasn't happened since I've been here because we obviously haven't had a festival. But what we found there were people they were so tired from the festival that by the end of the week they were like,
They're done.
I don't think I want to go to the event.
Yeah.
So we're constantly exploring ways, and we don't have the magic wand that works perfectly for us. We're going to continue to work on that because it is a way to keep them motivated.
Yeah,
it's a way for us to say thank you, and so I don't think there's a perfect science to it, and everybody has their own unique event, which. You just gotta, kind of gotta be creative with it. So,
yeah, I think, like you said, it's fine to be simple as long as you're taking the time to acknowledge them and thank them. Because at the end of the day, I think it's safe to assume that most volunteers are volunteering because it's something they're passionate about. They want to be involved. They want to be there. So at least for me, when I volunteered for events before, like I just get excited that I'm even accepted as a volunteer and I'm working the event alone. So when you go that extra step and be like, okay, here's a name tag, here's a ribbon. We would just want to let you know, like, thank you. And you're part of this team. It means a lot. So you really don't have to do a whole bunch.
No. And a lot of our volunteers, especially those who have children, or even before they've had children, they know that, if I volunteer and I'm committed to the festival, there's a chance that my kid's going to be, with the Queen or, a part of the Queen's court. Yeah. We have a Queen Shenandoah, and it's usually a celebrity's daughter, and she has a court, and folks really take that seriously. They're like, all right, I want little Susie to be, a maid. I want her to be a princess. But for her to be able to be considered, I have to put in my time and I have to commit to the festival. So that's another thing that we do that is people take very seriously when it comes to volunteering.
Yeah, I need to go to this festival. I need to make my way over there and see it because it sounds really fun.
Well, if you go out to our website, thebloom.com, you go to, I believe it's media. Let me hit it real quick. We actually have a series of videos.
Okay.
That you can kind of see. We actually have a tribute parade. It's the very first one, and it actually is a 2-hour video of past footage. We did that last year when we had COVID.
Yeah.
And we did a virtual parade. And we just took the old snippets and the old B-roll from past parades, and we had our local radio announcer, Barry Lee, who kind of walked us through the festival, and it was pretty amazing. We actually had it televised on one of our regional television stations that actually went into the DC market. So we had to get really creative last year. When it came to celebrating the festival. So anyway, you can check that out. There's a bunch of videos out there.
I will. That's really cool. I think this year has forced us all to use our brain power, like really dig deep to see how creative we can get.
That's right. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Pull content just to have something, and I've seen like a lot of people I've talked to are just they do really unique things where I'm like, wow, I wouldn't even think about that. But
yeah, you got to be creative in times like this. That's for sure.
Yeah, and back to like the volunteer thing, keeping it simple. I feel like that can apply for anything. Like if you're in an office, all you really need is the acknowledgement and a small thank you. Like never has to be a big thing as long as someone's putting the effort to stop and recognize your hard work. So,
I agree.
And before we wrapped up, I did check out your website. You guys have a lot of cool stuff. I didn't look at the video, so I want to look at those. But I noticed that you have a festival store, which I thought was really cool. And I just wanted to ask you do you think guests really appreciate being able to purchase merchandise online ahead of the event, or do you guys have a lot of success from running that
This is, we revamped our website. In my former career, I was a web developer, so I saved us a ton of money and developed the site.
Oh, that's such a good skill to have.
And, the interesting thing with our website is I got the buy-in from the office staff. We have a total of 4 of us here in the office that are paid staff. And I actually got them engaged and showed them how to make edits and build out pages. And they absolutely loved it. I mean, they have no experience, with building out a web page or website. Mm-hmm. And they manage a lot of it for us now. But back to the store, as part of our rebuild, we totally redid our store, and we tied in with a great company that really helped us out with building out the store. We also are going to have a physical store in our shopping mall here. It's called the Apple Blossom Mall. It's how important Apple Blossom is.
Oh my gosh, that's why I'm saying I need to go. That's amazing.
Yeah, but we are going to have a physical store in our retail center, and we're super excited about that. A lot of folks come out and buy things. We actually contract with consigners who will build and create, hand type things. Artisans who will, create pink and green, whatever. And we're also this year trying to work with some of our local businesses to create, for example, and I don't know if you're familiar with these, but a fire ring. It's basically you put it in your backyard, and it's a metal ring, and it has cutouts in it. And we're actually going to be doing apple blossom fire rings, which our local manufacturers, they do a lot of custom metal work, and they've got those plasma cutters that are going to cut out our logo and apple blossoms. And, so we're trying to, get the local businesses more involved in the festival and trying to find a way for them to be able to profit off of the festival. As well. So, but our festival store has all sorts of goodies, your standard t-shirts and sweatshirts and, shot glasses with the Apple Blossom logo. But we also like to work with our local artisans, and they create some pretty amazing things. And then, we basically are giving them that retail store to be able to sell.
Yeah.
So we've got the online store, plus come April the 9th, we'll have that physical store in our shopping center that we're super excited about. So it's definitely, people do buy a lot of Apple Blossom swag. It's definitely a good profit center for us.
Yeah. I always think it's a good idea to include, if you sell merchandise, to include it online as well, because a lot of people, they don't want to wait in line at the events, and they want to come with already wearing it and ready to go. So,
and COVID has been a curse, but it's also been a blessing, because we knew last year that we were going to eventually go to an online ticketing system, but it also really pushed people for online shopping, which was not a priority necessarily before COVID. And we had tons of people who wanted, we just want a t-shirt, and we did a lot of curbside pickup. We mailed stuff out too, but we had a ton of people who said, "Hey, can I come and pick that up? Can I come get my Christmas ornament?" We do a custom Christmas ornament with our theme every year. And we had a lot of people that did that curbside pickup, which, people felt more comfortable shopping online. And it really segued in well to this year, where we're actually able to have a festival that folks feel comfortable shopping online, and they have actually a good experience shopping online.
Yeah, I've heard that so many times. It's a curse and a blessing for our promoters, because obviously, we were put on pause, put on a halt, but then a lot were forced to go to digital ticketing, go to hybrid virtual events. And now talking to them, they're like, before they're like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go online. I don't want to do virtual. And now they're like, wow, I can't believe we haven't been doing also hybrid and virtual experience too, because it's a whole other like revenue stream.
Yes.
With digital ticketing, they're like, this is actually working really well and our guests enjoy it. So like there's a lot of things they're not going to go back to once we get through this pandemic. It's kind of
we've had zero complaints about our online ticketing experience. It's easy, and if somebody loses their email or their whatever, we can always just email them the secondary copy. I mean, Purplepass just makes it so easy. We definitely have seen the benefits of making that transition. So
yeah, well, I'm glad everything's been working out for you guys, and I'm really excited that you can have your festival this year, and I'm sure everyone's so excited since they didn't have last year, and it sounds like a major community event. So I hope it goes really well, really smooth. And
well, thank you.
Yeah, you always have us here. So if you have issues.
That's right. Yeah. Well, appreciate everything you all done for us and help us kind of get over the hump, and everything is working really well so far. So we're excited for April the 23rd to come around, and we're going to celebrate through May the 2nd, and it'll be different, but I think people will be happy just to be able to get back to some normal state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited. And I think that's all I had for you today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week and weekend, and don't work too hard.
All right, sounds good. Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. This has been fun.